Welcome back to 101 East, where we're discussing the current crisis in Thailand with former Government Minister Jakrapop Pengkare. He's here in our KL studio, and in Bangkok, joining us from there is the Democrat Party's Dr. Bernat Smudarak. Thank you very much again to both of you. I want to talk a little bit about the rule of law in Thailand. A state of emergency was declared, but the army said that it would not use force, that it would not follow through with the orders, as it were, to bring an end to the demonstration at Government House. Is this a threat to the rule of law, just simply because the Prime Minister gives an order, but nothing happens?
Let me just clarify it on the very point. The state of emergency decree is not aimed only at having the army cracking down on demonstrators. That is a spin. There are 6 points to the decree, and one of that I'd like to single out is to stop the media of politicizing the situation by presenting the one-sided story to the public. We have reasons to believe that the PAD or the PAD doesn't start by itself, but start by airing or broadcasting the ASTV, their political TV, that has been presenting some lies and distorted facts to the public all along. And many people have joined them because of these misunderstandings. The point is, the state emergency is not only for crackdown, it's for maintaining the order in every way, in every aspect. So to have it announced and decreed and nothing happens because the army refuses to do it, for me personally, that is a breakdown of the executive power. So the Prime Minister must do something to reestablish that, or we have to go, to other ways that I don't want to say here.
Dr. Bernat, is this worrying to you? Do you
Yes.
feel that law and order is an issue here, that Prime Minister Samak is not in control of the situation? What does the Democrat Party think should happen?
Well, I think your question was regarding rule of law. There were 2 instances of violence over the past week. The first one was on Friday, August the 29th. We actually went to the scene of where the violence occurred at around Makawan Bridge. We went there around 3 o'clock because we heard reports of people being injured from the police crackdown at around 10:30. What we saw was beyond words. We saw people who were injured 5 hours ago still being refused access to treatment because the police who were in control of the scene at that time refused to let ambulances in. This is not only rule of law, it violates basic international human rights ethics. And I think precisely because of that, that is why we saw, and the people saw, that gross injustices were being perpetrated by the government.
Are you saying that there is no rule of law? In fact, you agree with Mr. Jakrapop that there is no rule of law in Thailand at the moment?
That was the incident leading to the declaration of the state of emergency. So I'd say that the rule of law has broken down up until the declaration, where right now we see the armed forces as using wise restraint in not using violence to further escalate the situation.
This I have to disagree. I believe that the eroding execution of the rule of law has started by this government having won the election and not allowed to govern properly.
You're talking about the People's Alliance of Democracy,
Yes.
for Democracy,
Yes.
and their backers. Let me ask you, where you think this group wants to take Thailand, because they say that they represent people, they say that they want democracy. What do you think they would bring to Thailand? What's their vision?
Their stance has been cleared now. It's not democracy that they want. They want the so-called, quote-unquote, new politics. The state of having elected members of parliament or whatsoever for only 30%, and the appointed ones for 70%. How new is that? I'm wondering. The point is, what these people want is not the current political democratic system that we all fought for. The Democrats have the long history of fighting with the military in the past, of establishing this democracy. And I never believed for a moment that the Democrats of that time would be fighting for the so-called new politics of the PAD.
All right, Dr. Bernat, where does the Democrats Party stand now? Do you implicitly support the
clearly,
PAD?
Clearly, the PPP, especially the Prime Minister and many of the MPs have been trying to associate the Democrats as somehow being either backing or involved with the PAD and also involved with the Council for National Security in securing power. I think we have stated unequivocally that even if Prime Minister Samak resigns, we will not try to form a government in competition with the PPP. I think we've made that clear. At the same time, when we talk about the root causes of some of the mass demonstrations, you talk to anyone involved in the PAD, and they will immediately point out that it is solely because the government has been using its propaganda machine through the state-run TV and radio networks to basically level charges, insinuating charges against anyone who disagrees with the government. I think they see as the very legitimacy of the government, of how it governs, as having failed the people.
Let me take you up on that, Dr. Buranat. Again, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to ask,
please.
So what would the Democratic Party like to see happen? Do you not want Prime Minister Samak to resign? Would you be willing to form a national unity government, as some people have called for, between the Democrat Party and the PPP? Is that the answer to Thailand's cycle of weak governments?
I think it is difficult to enter into discussion if you are perceived as having basically having potential benefit from any resignation by the government. So we stated clear that short of Kun Samak accepting responsibility, and I think the key issue here to establish rule of law is that any violations of the law must be addressed, and people being responsible must be found. I think what we proposed was in clear, contrary to what Kun Jakrapop said, quite different from what the PAD is proposing. We are not proposing that Kun Samak hand over powers to us. Instead, what we're proposing is that he dissolve Parliament and hand power back to the people.
Whether or not the PPP is disbanded, whether or not Prime Minister Samak remains the Prime Minister, are the forces behind it going to go away, the popularity of it going to go away, or are we going to see the PPP regroup, as the Thai did, into the PPP? Is that cycle going to continue, do you think?
No one can really say that for sure, but my personal belief is that I think we can garner enough support to put together a new party that represents our principle of preserving the current political system. We definitely don't want new politics proposed by PAD, and we don't want demonstration to go on as the second government as it is now. So I think we would have enough people to support us on that very stance.
Thank you very much. That's all the time we have. My thanks to my guests, Jakrapop Penker and Dr. Buranat Sundaravej, from all of us here at 101 East. Goodbye.